Hey.
Oh,
Hey.
howdy.
You still there? Okay, good. What's up? This is Blurry Photos.
We just wanted to make sure you're really committed to listening.
Yep.
Blurry Photos.
Messing with your mind from the start. I am David Flora.
I am David Stecco.
And this is Blurry Photos. Welcome.
We've got a basket of mystery for you.
That's right. Goodies to be delivered and maybe devoured by a wolf in the woods.
Absolutely.
That's where my mind went with that.
Yeah, I mean, I recognize it, even though I don't think I joined you on that particular trip.
I don't think anybody did. Great. So we do have some fruits of mystery to feed you here in this basket.
Yeah. There are some loaves of mystery fresh out of the of unknown oven. I mean, how far do we go with this thing? I mean, I'll take it to the hoop.
I think that's about
That's it?
Yeah,
We did it?
The hoop is it. Today we're going to be talking about ley lines.
Got me on my knees, ley lines. Nope, now we're sued by Eric Clapton.
Oh, who isn't though?
Yeah.
Ley lines. If you don't know about ley lines, buckle up,
Yep.
cause
Put your mystery helmet on.
we're gonna tell you about these things. They're pretty neat, pretty fascinating, and at the same time believable and unbelievable.
Yeah, so to kind of dial your head in, if you've not heard of ley lines before, put this in the bucket in your head reserved for, say, the Bermuda Triangle, sort of a geographically based,
Interesting, yeah.
a geographic-based phenomena or unknown entity.
Yes, we'll talk today. We'll touch on ley lines. We'll touch on geomancy, the planetary energetic grid theory.
Yes.
That's a big one. We're going to hit all those. Ley lines are alleged alignments of ancient sites or holy places, such as hinges, Stonehenge being a hinge, cairns, churches, things like that.
Tepes.
Geomancy is a divination method that interprets markings on the ground or patterns of tossed soil or rocks. Can also refer to supposed effects of architecture in terms of geodetics or geodesy, which is the science of Earth in 3D space and time.
And what is that interesting foreign flavor you're getting in there? Why, that's just a pinch of feng shui that we've added into this stew, because we will be covering just a little bit of feng shui in this as well.
That's right. That gets thrown into there to spice things up a little bit.
Yep.
The planetary energy grid theory is geometric patterns on the Earth that form a grid or a matrix, with the intersecting points forming places of power. So that's what those three big overall ideas that we're going to try to hit on today are about.
Yeah.
And this all just is encompassing the idea of lines of energy that crisscross the Earth, and this idea has been picked up by New Age enthusiasts and archaeologists, mathematicians, occultists, and of course conspiracists,
As well as Bashar.
Bashar rides these things to work every day.
He used to ride a dolphin until he realized they hate that.
So that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Hope you're going to stick around.
It's going to be a wonderful ride.
We might have dessert afterwards. Let's get into ley lines.
Yeah.
Real quick. The term ley lines was coined in 1921 by Alfred Watkins, and he discovered many ancient sites and objects that seemed to be laid out in a straight line across the British countryside.
Yeah, he was just trying to make sense of what he was already seeing. He was just trying to say, oh, well, how do these people get from point to point? He was just trying to kind of put together these spots in his own home backyard.
Right, and then it was one of those classic tales of you're driving along the countryside, and then you stop and get out, look at your map, like, where am I? And then you look up, and you're just like, what is this? There's something on that hill, and then there's something... Oh, wait, I have to be British. There's something on that hill, and there's something on that hill, and there's something on that hill, and they all form a line. I could have
Time for tea.
Time for tea. No offense to our British friends out there. We love you guys.
Seriously, we really do.
We aspire to be you, even though we won our independence from you 200 years ago.
Yeah, but we've also always regretted it. You're like a lover that we broke up with a long time ago. We always wonder what if.
What if?
Because to be honest, we haven't done that well on our own since.
It's true. We kind of lost some of the manners.
Yep, you took all the class with you in the divorce. Well, how did we end up here?
Well, like I said, driving along the countryside, you stop, you get out your map. Anyway.
Blurry Photos, where we express the regrets of a culture.
The term ley comes from the passing of such lines through places with names containing ley in them. So, like Winsleyshire. And
Ladefordton.
Great. Alfred Watkins found sites from different ages were aligned, not just like, a couple of people built some houses a few years ago, No, these were like Neolithic, Bronze Age, Iron Age, all these different periods of time. There were things that were constructed on these hilltops, but basically along this line that he traced throughout Britain.
Now, wouldn't one be able to make the argument that regardless of when in history it has always been a benefit to build on a hilltop? That these people, without a conscious plan to, people tend to inhabit the same areas because of each area probably offers benefits. This is why people settled there in the first place. Like what we talked about
Armageddon.
In Armageddon, those tells. Mm-hmm. Those promontories, those hills that are made only because people have consistently lived in a place for so long.
Right. And I think in Britain they call them tors, T-O-R.
Oh.
Something like they'll have something tor. Abbotsfordshire tor. I don't know.
I like tor more than tell. Once again,
the Britons do it right.
Come back to us, baby. We're sorry.
Now, New Agers, all right, have reckoned that standing stones and other important sites harness energy from the earth and resonate it.
Yep. Plenty of accounts of like a humming sound.
That can be there.
Mm-hmm.
Just overall, a sense of good feeling when you're in these places.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The euphoria brought around by the Ley energy.
The types of structures that do this are called, I'll go through a list here. The first one's called a minher, which are just standing stones. These are not... You don't go outside and just throw a rock on the ground and you're like, it's a minher. These are like the 2-ton stones that are standing up straight, that are like, where did this come from? This is not like anything else in the landscape here. You also get a thing called dolmens, which are stones built to form a room. And the theory is that these were built to meditate in, so that it kind of harnesses the energy and you sit inside and meditate and it helps your meditation out. Yeah.
All right.
Great. Barrows are mounds with an entrance and a room inside to meditate. So this is kind of like a step up from a dolmen.
Now, my understanding, I thought that barrows were typically and historically burial mounds.
It could be. Maybe it's that, again, this is coming from kind of more of a New Age slant on it. Mm-hmm. Maybe they've taken that and co-opted it into their own... twisted vision of happiness.
We dug in there and got all them musty skeletons out, and now we just go in there and sing.
We sit and thank. Mm-hmm. We thank for a while.
Such thoughts.
I like when the butterflies are flying. That's when you know to thank.
My minds have taken me to places you could never believe.
Why are the New Agers Sunday school
I don't
church
know. Yeah,
teachers?
We're just trying to cram them all together, but they are.
Whenever I was looking at this for Barrows, I always thought of John Barrowman. Is that it from Captain Jack Harkness?
Oh yeah.
Is that his name, John Barrowman? I think?
Yeah.
And I wonder, well, how did he get that name? Did he clear out the skeletons? Did he go in there? Does his family line meditate?
Maybe his family made barrows, like wheelbarrows.
Oh gosh, there's that map again. Car has stopped. In addition to that, you get hinges, which we mentioned.
Yep.
Hinges are stone or timber that's usually arranged in a circle. And again, the classic example, Stonehenge. That's probably the one everybody knows, but that's not the only hinge. There's a ton of hinges that people have built, and apparently on ley lines. But you also get just simple churches or temples built along these things. Now, apparently you can identify ley lines and places of power through dowsing with rods. Mm-hmm. Dowsing is a type of divination where you use a rod or a stick.
The most base form of geomancy.
That's right. This is something we'll probably cover in a later episode, too. Mm-hmm. That's something that...
This is like year one at Hogwarts stuff.
Think of it this way. When you see the old classic, somebody's in a desert and they want to look for water, they get a forked stick, and then they start pointing it around. That's dowsing. They're dowsing with that stick.
Now, there's other forms of that. Now, I myself had done this. There's another form where you get two wires. And imagine like two long pieces of like coat hanger wire. They're bent at a 90 degree to kind of form a handle, and you hold them in your hand, and you have both wires pointed straight out from you, and you walk around, and it's said that when the wires cross, you're standing over water.
Yeah. Has that worked for you?
With mixed results. I don't know. Like when you're a kid, you're like, it totally worked, regardless of what I've seen. I don't remember. But I remember doing it. Because, you hear about it from some uncle or something, and for all you know, they're just trying to get you out of the house for half an hour.
No, I've read about that too, and it puts me in the mind of the Ouija board.
Yeah.
Like, is something actually moving those, or are you subconsciously, twitching the muscles in your fingers?
Right. And I if I had to guess, I would say that they'll also call it water witching, the dowsing, with the two wires. I think that is more believable than a Ouija board.
Yeah. And to me, it's more believable even than the forked stick as well.
Because that forked stick's supposed to like dip when you...
Yeah, or even... I mean, some people go so far as to say it actually pulls you. Like, it points in the direction and, like, you can feel a force pull you forward. So, I believe, like... Because with the wires... At least you've got maybe some electromagnetic energy or something that can be messing with them. But dowsing, hey. So that map that we're talking about, it's got all kinds of stuff on it.
So if you're dying of thirst, all you need is a couple of coat hangers, a wire cutter, and you're off to the races.
Now these structures, like I said, they were built to focus energy from these lines, and some of them were built for astronomical purposes too. In 1969, we get a writer by the name of John Michel. He associated ley lines with theories of mystical energy, basing them on the Chinese concept of feng shui, which we mentioned. Now, the Chinese had a term for ley lines themselves. Did you come across that?
I did not.
The Chinese called them dragon lines.
Of course they did.
And in fact, they had laws where peasants could not be buried on a dragon line. Only kings or emperors could be buried on dragon lines.
Now that makes sense to me. I mean, you have already in Chinese culture the idea of qi, and that there are lines of energy throughout the body. So why would you not expand that and have lines of energy across the land?
Sure,
that makes a lot more sense to me than the Watkins UK version.
Just, you mean historically, since people have built here, it must be something?
Yeah, exactly. It makes more sense to me that there's the Chinese cultural version of it than Watkins' kind of homebrewed, well, I look around here and here's the theory I have for it. And even Watkins' theory was not accepted in Britain.
Yeah.
He wrote this book and he tried to advertise it in archaeological publications, and they wouldn't accept it. They would not even let his book be advertised in it because they're like, nah, we don't buy it.
That's funny. I think that's funny because, I mean, that's what people have fought against throughout the ages. It's like, here's something that, this may be really cool, or maybe something we should study. And then you get the authority agency or figure that being like, nah, you're crazy, you're a nut, this is done, we're not going to waste our time.
Right. And I guess for both perspectives, I can see why it didn't work out, because he's saying, no, like these, it's like trying to take an ad out for a Bible sales company about, oh no, it turns out that Jesus was 3/4 robot, You know, like what his theory is about these locations of these places is based on this mystical line of energy, and you're trying to advertise it in an archaeology publication where these guys are, gridding things out and cleaning.
Very scientific.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the two aren't going to get along, and it's not entirely fair to ask one to advertise the other in the same thing.
Good point. Good point. Since then, though, the idea of the mystical energy and stuff, has been applied to places all over the world, not just in Britain, not just in, the Chinese culture and stuff. People have started looking around and being like, "Oh, look at this! This is a thing."
South America is like Ley Line crazy.
So let's talk about the planetary energy grid theory.
Yeah, I want to hear about that because I didn't even come across that in my research.
Yeah, the thing with ley lines, it straddles a bunch of topics. I feel like ley lines itself is specific to, I think, the Alfred Watkins, the British, idea of the things being built in a line and stuff. But it also sort of expands into the planet, but then morphs into a different kind of theory, and we may see this as we go along here. But the planetary energy grid theory is a pseudo-scientific theory that there is an all-encompassing energy field holding the Earth together based on a combination of platonic solids. Platonic solids being a tetrahedron, a cube, an octahedron, a dodecahedron, and an icosahedron.
No icosahedrons?
Not in the base ones, I guess.
Well, surely there is the inclusion of the quasi-rhombicosahedron then.
No.
Well, what the hell kind of theory is it?
Well, let's get into it, because I'll tell you.
Because I got my finger on the bullshit button, and I'm ready to push it.
I know you do. So a fellow by the name of Ivan P. Sanderson was a scientist who identified in 1972 12 geographic areas around the world that had mysterious properties. And what he did was to kind of gather as much as he could information about shipwrecks or aircraft that had gone down. And he tried to see where the most concentrations of these were in the world.
I think that's a good approach. That's a cool approach to find an anomaly.
And he found 12 places that stood out as being anomalous, and they include what we now know as the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Sea near Japan, the North and South Pole, Hamakulia Volcano in Hawaii, and a place called the South Atlantic Anomaly. And he named them the Vile Vortices, as in vortex.
Okay,
but vile vortices is what he meant.
I like that he started off saying, "Well, I'm going to look for anomalies," and that's a good approach. Look for where people, where anomalous things are happening.
Yeah.
Then, using a Sharpie, put a bandit mask on the front of your issue and a stripy shirt. I've done a statistical analysis of lives lost to unknown circumstances.
And bags of money with dollar signs printed on them.
And what I called it is the malevolent hand of the unclean one. The vile vortices.
Yep. So now the weird thing about it was they are evenly spaced around the globe, 5 in each hemisphere. And then you get the poles.
Oh, okay.
And if you put an icosahedron inside a sphere, let's say the Earth, you get these points on there. Apparently.
And they line up.
And they line up with these points.
Really?
Now that's what Ivan Sanderson said. Ivan P. Sanderson. There's a cryptozoologist named Ivan T. Sanderson, and it was kind of hard to sift through the muck between these guys. But Ivan P. as in Paul.
Ivan T. You'll get your turn.
Yeah, we'll get to you. He had a pretty cool life. Apparently, his dad was killed by a rhinoceros on safari.
Ouch.
So Ivan T.'s was a pretty cool figure. I did come across some information saying his data that he gathered could have been fudged a little just to make it fit, Like he could have shoved that square peg into a round hole.
Well, what I was thinking is, how much commerce is there over the North and South Pole that he was able to say? I mean, there is just pretty bad weather in those places.
Well, yeah.
I mean, but like...
And hurricanes over, the Atlantic.
My question, like, I don't know about the other spots so much, but like the North and South Pole, I mean, there's... I guess statistically you'd say, well, by the percentage of people who travel there, a lot of people end up dying or shipwrecking or whatever. I don't know. Like those two seem a little hinky to me.
Yeah.
But I'm still enjoying this tale.
And it may also have to do with something with instruments malfunctioning and, how you go through the Bermuda Triangle and they're like, oh, my instruments are just, the compass is spinning and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I mean, that could happen at the poles too, right?
Right, absolutely. You're going to see magnetic anomalies like crazy, so that makes sense. I get you.
So he may have been taking that. So a little later than that, Russian scientists named Goncharov, Morozov, and Makarov added a dodecahedron to the icosahedron, and they saw that over 4,000 important sites fit on the globe with this. So each point of it, including lines that are drawn to connect them, there are over 4,000 places that are really significant across the Earth.
And it does. Now, is there any discussion? Like I said, I didn't come across any of this in my research, so you are tip of the cap, Flora.
Oh, thank you.
But I mean, is there any talk given to the fact that the Earth is not actually a sphere? Does that...
It's kind of flattened. No.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't...
It doesn't seem to mess with their
Not that I saw.
Okay, all right.
Now, I mean, I have my own opinion about 4,000 important sites fitting on this icosododecahedron that they've done. But adding to that, in 1975, there's a husband and wife scientist team of Bill Becker and Beth Higgins throw in another icosahedron. Why not? They make a shape based...
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Okay.
But I'm going to. So yeah, I totally mean to interrupt you. So we started with what shape?
An icosahedron.
Okay.
Which, I'm sorry, I should have... an icosahedron is a 20-sided figure.
Okay, because all I want to do is put this into terms of role-playing dice.
Well, okay, so this is a 20-sided die.
Your D20.
Yeah.
Your basic
for Ken Height and all of our D&D friends, this is a D20. They throw in there a D12, a 12-sided die.
Which is called
the dodecahedron.
Okay.
And then Becker and Higgins throw in yet another D20, an icosahedron. And they make a shape that's based on Buckminster Fuller's work.
Okay. Which has been vetted chemically. And
He had, I mean, I think he would be an interesting one to do an episode about because he seems like another before his time figure.
Yeah, it took them forever to say, yep, you're right.
You might have heard of buckyballs or geodesic domes.
Yep.
He had a big hand in designing those. But anyway, they took some of his work and threw this in, and that's what we kind of have today. It's called the Becker-Higgins grid, and it shows major and minor energy nodes across the planet.
So, I mean, I'm glad that we're providing the service of geometry. There's some shapes for you guys.
Yeah, some not just triangles and squares. We'll get to some debunking, I guess. We'll get to that in a little bit.
I mean, right now we're mostly focused on bunking, but
we're going to bunk you here a little
longer.
A little longer. If
and then we're gonna try to flip the script and then remove that bunk.
Flip the script. Remove that bunk. All right.
Diggy toots! I have also like to apologize for how many times I say diggy toots now. I'm telling you, only when it is absolutely appropriate in my eyes will I scream diggy toots in the future.
The energy that apparently running through these lines, people have said it's some sort of Earth radiation or a mystic force field, they've called it. It's similar to what's called odic force or mana or chi, as you mentioned earlier. It's undetectable by instruments, but akin to the detectable telluric currents, which are actually observed electric currents that run through the Earth. Have you heard of telluric currents?
I have never heard of telluric currents.
That's a thing. That's an actual measurable scientific thing. I think even
Okay.
the geologists and stuff have been like, yes, telluric currents, we'll buy that. We'll put that in our magazine, but Alfred Watkins,
Yeah, no.
go back to the countryside and get lost.
Yeah, exactly.
The energy from these lines, it can give off positive or negative energy. It's depending on how you use them. And in fact, I've heard that witches can convene covens on lines, and then that amplifies the negative energy and start making that section of the line more negative. Also, if you practice white magic on there, it can have the opposite effect.
So, for the purpose of this, just to make it clear, because we were just discussing the telluric lines, when you're saying energy now, you're talking about like a cetacean transformation energy, not necessarily an actual flowing stream of electrons.
I guess so.
Yeah. 'cause you
Although
don't-
the telluric might be more along the electrons line.
Right, I think, telluric is an actual
But the
electron.
Ley energy
The Ley energy,
is Bashar's
yeah.
ticket to...
Okay. It's mushroom energy.
Anyway, yes.
Okay.
Some of the connections that people have made with ley lines, they can be observed running directly through major cities and sites. Mm-hmm. In fact, one of the most popular lines that people like to reference runs directly through Mexico City, Mobile, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, New York City,
Ever heard of it?
New Haven, Connecticut, Boston, Massachusetts, all the way across the pond to Stonehenge, Baalbek in Lebanon, which is a ancient temple, ancient site,
Yes.
and possibly even London, Munich, Damascus, or Riyadh, depending on how you bend the line to your will.
Yeah.
But that's one huge ley line that people are like, this has got to be something. If it's connecting all these cities in the world, and there's some major cities like Mobile,
Right.
but
Mobile, a city on the grow.
I've been to Mobile. Mobile was actually really nice. I had a good time in Mobile.
All right.
Maybe there's something to it.
I don't think Mobile sucks. I just don't think it's a major metropolis.
Well, true. But
I'll bet you the food there's phenomenal.
I don't think I sampled the food well enough because I had like bar food.
Well,
I mean, chicken tenders aren't.
they're universal.
So that's one of the connections. Freemasons
Oh, look out.
may have known about ley lines and designed Washington, D.C. to harness the energy of the lines.
Really? Mm-hmm. Now, this is the first I've heard. I mean, we've discussed the Masons quite a bit.
Yeah.
This is the first I've heard an intersection of Masons and ley lines. I mean, I know that they love a formulated layout,
Yeah.
as London is a perfect example of.
Sure. The Vatican. Mm-hmm. And not to say that the Masons and the Pope are the same person.
Right. But they did build a lot of things there, like they get their...
Yeah, I mean, if you Googled up DC and Masons, then it'll show you like there's a lot of stuff that's in the shape of a star.
After you get through all the pictures of Nicolas Cage.
Right. Well,
we gotta wade through a lot of Cage.
I mean, and that could be part of the whole disinformation
Yeah.
machine that's
They're
out
too
there.
close to the truth. Deploy Nicolas Cage.
All right, let's go. I can't make good life decisions with my money, but I'm gonna keep doing movies. I mean, Nicolas Cage, Keanu Reeves, same person. That's in my head.
I was
Anyway,
with you on that.
the Great Pyramid at Giza, that's an example that is at an intersection of ley lines. Intersections are big. That's you get a lot of temples and places of worship, churches, things like that, built on intersections of these lines.
Peru is very well known for that.
Machu Picchu.
Yep.
And apparently from the Great Pyramid, you get all kinds... You can make angles going from the tip of it that point toward other sites, like Mecca, Baalbek, again, from Lebanon. Stonehenge is another one you can get to. And in straight lines, not just like, I'm going to I'm gonna turn towards Mecca and point, and that's
Right.
and that's something crazy.
Right.
Oh,
I can stand at this temple and point in this direction.
and I'm pointing at somewhere else on the earth. Yeah, I mean, anyway, we're still bunking. We're still bunking.
Bunking. We're going to have to ask you to continue to suspend your disbelief for just a little while longer. Focus.
Just one more point I want to make, and then we can start debunking.
What would Bashar do right now?
WWBD. Some people think they could be landing vectors for spacecraft.
Yes. This is where I hear the most Nazca lines.
Yep.
Yeah, this is where you get into that. Yep.
Nazca lines are in Peru, right?
Yep.
And they're huge geoglyphs, which they're mounds of earth, but they're arranged in the shape of animals.
Yep.
But they're only viewable from really high up.
Yep. But yeah, you get a lot of that discussion of like you said, landing vectors.
Yeah.
I thought that aliens pretty much all had vertical takeoff and landing. But you know what? It's not for me to tell them how to fly from planet to planet. That's not my job.
Who are you to say, man?
Yeah. That's
Know
the
your
hubris of mankind.
Gosh.
That's why they can't be friends with us.
But Egypt is a place that is I don't know. Steeped in mystery, obviously, but like it's got a lot to do with the ancient alien stuff. Zachariah Sitchin, and I've heard that the pyramids, they were like landing places for spacecraft, things like that. And if these ley lines, are if there's anything to them being vectors for that, then that's just another. That's all supporting each other in the conspiracy, or
you'll find that these theories they do bolster each other.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
And you also have a hard time saying, oh yeah, alien landing pads, but not aligned with planetary grid of power. You can't really say yes to one and no to the other.
So I'm tired of bunking.
Oh man, I am full of bunking. I think we've hit as much bunk as we can pump into this.
Bunkful.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight unless we take some of the pressure off this. Can we debunk this just a little bit?
Yeah, how about the fact that lines can be drawn everywhere?
What?
Sorry, but if even random dots, there have been mathematical and other spheres of interest have gone through the process of throwing out specks or dots or rocks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they chart straight lines through them, and percentage-wise, there's a decent percentage of lines that can be drawn from 4 or more random spaces.
And hooray for that. There's no meaning to that. There's no meaning to the fact that you can draw a line and a few things. Oh, if you line up approximately or even exactly.
Yeah.
Unless there is already a pre-existing meaning between those points.
Yeah. Well, and some people may argue that that's their whole point. That this is a temple and this is a temple.
This is the pre-existing meaning.
That
of
is
this
the
line.
Yeah.
I get that. I guess I can understand that argument, but man, it gets taken to such terrifying extremes with something. I mean, like I keep looking over at this map. It's just lines everywhere, and
you're talking about the Becker-Higgins grid.
Yeah, and there's so many lines that what's the point? There's just lines everywhere.
Yeah, it starts looking like
spiderweb.
Even more than that. I picture
cracked
glass.
Windshield?
Yeah, like glass that's if it's not cracked, then it's a bunch of scrapes and stuff on it. Like if you just don't take care of a pair of glasses and you just throw them around and stuff and then you start looking at them, you're like, man, there's all kinds of scratches on this thing.
Now I see everything. It's all connected.
Exactly. There's energy flowing through here. I mean, you get too many lines, it loses its meaning to me. In this Becker-Higgins grid, the nodes on there, right? And I think you were mentioning this. Some of them are places of interest. Some of them middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I would say 80% nowhere.
Yeah,
they're just in places that they got some stuff off the coast of Somalia here. I mean, is that the pirate spot? Is that the pirate
pirate
point?
node?
Yeah, the pirate node. And the other thing that, I mean, I don't know, you could, chicken or the egg this, but if these are, these ancient societies are cognizant of these power lines, is it just that they knew about their section of them, or were they aware of all of them?
The whole thing.
Which doesn't seem possible because they all thought the Earth was flat.
Well,
and this requires a three-dimensional knowledge of the world that you can stick your dodecahedron and then your icosahedron
and then another icosahedron.
And then another icosahedron, because the first one wasn't good enough.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. A lot of people, but then again, that's the unenlightened mass.
Right. And since these were the small few that were trained by space visitors, Nazca Lines. I guess it just becomes just a big mysterious cat chasing its own mysterious and unknowable tail.
Yep.
But they happen. Those ley lines, they're a real thing that people talk about.
There's also no solid evidence that, or no solid physical evidence, I should say, of any special energy at any of these nodes or places along the lines.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to make a point of distinguishing between, like a psychic, ethereal energy, in air quotes, and an actual flow of electrons that will kill you if you touch it.
Yeah, yeah. I would, if I were to believe that ley lines are out there and doing their thing, my belief is that less is more, because some of these images that you might find show, like you said, lines everywhere. And some people will take Google Earth and draw lines across all different number of cities. But I live here, and I'm going to draw a line straight to the next town over. That means there's a ley line there. Oh my gosh,
Right.
And to me, the more lines that you draw, the less meaning each line has.
Yeah, agreed. Now, I heard a description of ley lines. Bear with me on this one.
I can't wait.
That makes for an interesting junior high narrative, but also almost kind of makes its own sense if you're already committed to believing in ley lines.
Oh, is it where all the kids go to make out?
Woo! Getting laid lines.
You still owe me. The pun gun hasn't gone off yet.
There was a role-playing game called Rifts, and that had the basis of it was that ley lines were real and these gigantically important things. And that there was a nuke, and what happened is there is a functional finite amount of psychic energy on the planet, and each person contained a portion of it, and whatever wasn't contained by a person flowed through these ley lines, these large arcing channels of energy. And as the planetary population grew, that energy was dispersed through more and more people, thus making the ley lines weaker and weaker. And so while you hear about them more historically, and people would discuss them and build their temples along them, but as you get into the Age of Enlightenment, as the global population goes up, these things become more and more difficult to register or understand. And so, and the theory of, and I repeat, the role-playing game was that once you get to, what are we at now, like 7 billion?
7 billion, yeah.
7 billion people, it's so diffuse, the psychic energy in the planet, that no one has enough to light a candle.
Wow.
But there is a catastrophe. There is a nuclear war where suddenly billions of people all die at once, releasing this torrent of psychic energy, and all of a sudden ley lines spring to life and arcing psychic energy all over the earth. And it's so tumultuous that these rifts start opening from other dimensions, because it's just all of a sudden a flood of psychic energy. And now, there's robots and aliens, and that's when you start rolling dice and killing things.
Wow.
That's as a
real
narrative
fun.
goes, pretty cool. But it also, in its own weird way, kind of makes a little bit of sense if that's something you're pre-inclined to believe in.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah. You got to wonder, because it just seems like every day people are getting dumber.
True. I know I am.
That's why Blurry Photos is such a good community service.
Yeah, exactly. We're doing it for you, people.
That's really neat, and I wonder if that grew out of an idea of a theorist of the paranormal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a good incorporation of it. As a matter of fact, while we talk, I'm kind of bringing it up here. I forgot that there is even a class in the game called the Line Walker.
Wow!
And they travel along the ley lines, and so yeah. So that was it was a thing that I just when I was doing the research that came back to my mind. I was like, oh yeah, that was a ley line based thing,
right up this alley.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the jury's out on this one. I think because the more maps I see with tons of lines, the less I believe it.
Right.
And also, the more maps I see that say these are energy nodes and things like that, and they're in the middle of the ocean, or they're like the tip of Antarctica or someplace, that nobody's ever talked about being weird stuff happening at.
Yeah, this, to me, it feels a lot more like a religious belief, which could be just as real, to the people who believe in it, but it doesn't seem to really hold up. It doesn't seem to have as much... There's not enough, in my opinion, there's not enough information to even make it a mystery. It's more like a story.
Yeah. Yeah, more like a tale.
Yeah, it's lore.
It's lore. Well, it's a cool idea. I think it's very fun, and who knows? Maybe the Masons, maybe our friends, the Illuminati, know about this and how to harness it, and that's why they've designed their cities and stuff like that in that certain way. There's even the crazy theory that 9/11 was due to ley line, like that ley line was thrown in the mix for 9/11. Mm-hmm.
Yep. I heard that Obama was born on a ley line that transported him magically from Hawaii to Kenya. I didn't hear any of that. I just made that up.
But that's ley lines for you, and a long mystical energy.
If anybody brings it up, you're like, yeah, I heard about that once. Puns!
Hey, how about puns?
Yeah.
Let's do some puns.
All right, I got one.
All right.
I got one. And I'm going first because I want to make sure that I get to steal the actual use of the phrase.
Oh.
Yeah. It's the ley line. It's a phone dating line for amorous singles in your area.
You can't get away from using ley line in a pun for this.
I know. That's why I wanted to go first, so that you seem like the one who's stealing.
Oh, great. Because I couldn't get away. I couldn't come up with two puns without one of them being
right.
Ley lines. So mine is a pottery store called the Clay Lines.
Oh, see, that's way better. You at least changed a word. I couldn't even do that.
I added a C. Yeah. I didn't even change a word. I pretty much changed an E from an A.
Okay,
A from an E.
I've got one. It's a home flooring company that will isolate problem spots in your house. It's called the Tile Vortices.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
I spent so long trying to think of the right one for this, and the one that I got is so bad.
I can't wait because of all the good puns that we have. Don't bring our average down, man.
It's a direct competition with Menards and Home Depot.
Yeah, that's right.
Tile vortices. I can see the cheaply made video that's on.
Oh yeah, like a bad 3D graphics thing. They're like these parts of the home are constantly left dirty and unused. We have isolated them using our proprietary home analysis software.
Taking an icosahedron and putting it inside your home. And you get like a really attractive local girl to be your spokesman, walking through the aisles, showing you all the tiles they've got and stuff. That's because it happens.
Hi, I'm an average customer. When they first showed me the dodecahedron, I thought that Maid might be onto something. When they put an icosahedron into that, I knew I had signed with the right company.
This just turned into the weakest dismount.
Which is just called passing out in the saddle. You just fall off the horse. Let's hear how loudly your face slaps the ground. Come on,
All right. So this is also from the old Vile Vortices. This is a coffee shop called the Vile Javanese.
Not a successful coffee shop at that. Our coffee is vile.
But they know where to put their shops.
Yeah, it's true.
They've mapped out the entire United States.
You ever had green coffee? Come on in. We have all the convenient locations. Literally. Wherever you thought we should be, that's where we are.
Guess what?
What?
We got a pun this week.
Shut your butt.
I will not. Here's the pun sound.
Hooray! I joined the children in their excitement.
They're as almost excited as we are to get a pun.
Almost.
Get a job, kids. This pun is sent to us by user Annie. Hey, welcome back, Annie.
Hey, Annie. I'd like to welcome you back to the podcast. This is Dave Stecco. Just wanted to say hi. How are you doing?
Hey, this is David. What's up? So, I don't know. Did I come on too strong? Annie sends us a pun that was apparently inspired by Bahama Mama's last pun.
Oh!
This is great. Our listeners are even...
This is how a community is born.
This is right. Okay, so here it is. Jeremy was from West... this is about the Rasputin episode.
Oh, okay. Rah, rah, Rasputin.
I can't believe that we'd never mentioned that song in there.
I know.
And I just put it in at the end.
It's awesome. It almost makes it... It's like you're implying that you wrote it. And I like that.
Nope. All right. Jeremy was from West Virginia and had a speech impediment that made him start all his statements with a PR sound. He owned a car that he nicknamed Dub. He would let his sister Ovia borrow it, and one morning he found it crashed in a ravine. He was so angry that instead of confronting her directly, he made his mother be the middleman. And he said to his mother, Praskovia Fyodorovna Dubrovina.
I don't get it. I don't get it. There was a setup that maybe I didn't follow closely enough.
I think the inspiration from Bahama Mama was that to set up
to write a short story.
Well, it was just it was just icing on the cake.
Yeah,
and the name obviously is from the woman that he married.
Right, I did know that part. I got that.
But
I don't understand where the auto accident comes into play.
The car was named Dub, and it was crashed in a ravine, so it was Dubrovina.
Dubrovina. Okay.
That's where that was. Fyodorovna, Dubrovina, and then he starts every sentence with PR, so ask... okay.
Okay, now, Annie, thank you. And I have to make this very clear. Just because I didn't understand it doesn't mean it's not great. You clearly put a lot of work into that, and you created a very intricate and delicate thing, and I am a ham-fisted lummox. I don't appreciate delicate things very well. I break them.
It's true.
Wait. I'm kind of a bad boy, Annie. You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me because you're going to get hurt. So that's why I didn't get it.
I thought it was great, Annie, and thanks for sitting it in.
I did think it was great. I just didn't get it at first. I had to have it explained. You're lucky because you get to read it. You get to see it all and re-reference it.
You're right. I don't have this printed out in front of both of us like I probably should. So I'll get a running order next week, and we'll get this stuff taken care of. But please send in more puns. It was great. No matter what's your inspiration.
Yeah, please do.
Let's have some more. Go on and tell us how awful we are so that we can put ourselves in the penalty box.
Yeah, exactly. Did we make any factual errors? The answer is yes. Can you find them? Question mark.
Awesome. You know, what's weird, just touching back on the energy aspect of like how you can transform negative positive energy of these lines and stuff.
Right.
It would be interesting to do an experiment to see if you can change one of these lines that's popular, like say the Mexico City to the New York Ley Line, the one that runs through Boston and DC and
Sure.
Atlanta. What if you just stationed a bunch of practitioners of white magic? At
Say
different
Wiccans
points?
if you mean Wiccans.
Well, Wiccans can jump in. They do white magic.
They are our only practitioners of magic.
All right, so you station a bunch of Wiccans in along this line, and like they all have a certain time that they all start performing the same ritual. So they get this ritual of white magic performed along this line. I mean, what if that does something? What if it changes the energy of those lines? New York, D.C., those are pretty famous for crime. Mexico City,
Yeah.
drugs and vice.
What if those lines were already white? What if they were already positive? And this was like these lines are like what's keeping it from all of those cities from becoming Thunderdome.
It could be.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, I don't think a practice like this would hurt.
No.
I don't know. I mean, that's just something. If you go down the rabbit hole,
I think that is the tagline of Wicca. I don't think a practice like this would hurt. Man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to pick on the Wiccans. I don't know why I do it. It's my own insecurities.
quit your Wiccan picking.
Nice.
I'm still waiting on a photo of a hot Wiccan, so get on it, you guys.
Doesn't have to be a photo of you. Like, just send us a picture of a hot Wiccan. I don't know.
Preferably not a drawing, although we'll take it.
Yeah,
but
I would love to see a drawing. I'd prefer it, as a matter of fact.
But
that way it's the Wiccan you want us to see, not the Wiccan you have on hand.
I don't know. That's my brain going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, why not give it a shot? I mean, these places are in a pretty bad way in a lot of spots anyway. So
yeah, why not? Why not
hurt?
Why not do that?
So that'll do it for this episode for you. Hope you stuck with us. Go to our Facebook page.
Yeah,
and like
tell us about the home that you built on a ley line and your experiences.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. If you got any energy running through the ground under your feet.
Yeah. Oh, almost forgot. We've got some listener mail. This is from D Diggity. Dave Stecco is the best. Dave Flora smells like old socks! ! Smiley face.
D Diggity? D Diggity?
Okay, I made that one up. Damn it!
Well, we knew it wasn't real because the sound didn't play.
Oh my God! It's right. You're so correct. You'll always know because we have the registered trademark listener mail sound.
But you guys can hear that sound if you send us some friggin' mail.
Yeah.
Just do it. Just send us something. Say hi.
Yeah.
We'll love it. You'll see how excited we get. You'll hear it.
Yeah, it's like when prisoners in jail or in World War II, and soldiers in the front get mail call.
Right.
That's what we do. We giggle and we clamor and we read them over and over and over and we get really obsessed about it.
We carry it with us until we're dead, and then we pass it off to the partner, saying, "Make sure they get this back home."
Exactly.
But you can do that through our website, blurryphotos.org. Just go to the contact page there and fill it out real quick. Doesn't take long.
Nope.
We're not going to do anything with your email address, like we've said before.
Yeah.
That's
literally nothing.
Literally.
Won't even reply to it.
Quite literally. Absolutely literally. Unless you ask us to, of course. But we've got that Facebook page that we're climbing up there slowly.
Yeah.
Thanks to our new likers.
Doesn't it feel good to get in on the ground floor of something that's going to become a cultural phenomenon?
Yeah, exactly. You could say I was one of the first, man.
Yeah.
I knew those guys when they were half as cool as they are
Yeah,
now.
when we're a really big deal and we're getting interviewed, we'll talk about our Diamond Platinum Plus listeners, and that'll be you.
And don't laugh; it becomes not real. Go to iTunes.
Not like those Diamond Platinum regular listeners. God, they suck. Diamond Platinum Plus, though. Mm-hmm.
Only $8 a month. iTunes, we're on there. Subscribe, rate us, and write a review if you want. That's another ground floor. Twitter, we're also on. I should mention that. Blurry_photos.
We twort stuff all the time.
Well, we do for every episode. And when we have something better to say, we'll twit some more.
We'll twort it.
But other than that, we'll get a YouTube page up and running soon. That way, if YouTube's your thing, you can listen to the episodes on there, and we might even make some stupid videos in the near future.
Yeah, we might. There's been a lot of clamoring for a video of David and I just making out for 10 minutes. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll all stay tuned for that. But for this episode of Blurry Photos, I have been David, don't lay my line, Flora.
And I have strategically placed myself as David Stecco in a position of power.
I could have been David the Node.
Oh, man! That's a really good one, too.
That's kind of like the Dominoes thing, the Noid. Way back in the day. Hey! Bye.